Was Canada immigration all negative in 2021? Did IRCC do nothing to facilitate applications? Was it all bad for all application categories? Stick with me for more on an overall review of immigration in the year 2021. Hello everyone, namaste. Welcome back to my channel Sri Talkies Canada. I'm shooting this kind of rather late on a Wednesday because I'm quite enjoying actually the process of making videos. So thank you so much for all of your love and support. If you've subscribed to the channel, if you've left likes, comments, I appreciate it all very, very much. For anyone who's new here, my name is Srijana and by profession I am a licensed immigration consultant. I run my own immigration consultancy firm based out of Toronto in Canada, but this channel is not just immigration. I am going to present a lot of topics, diverse, eclectic, enriching, empowering, and hopefully you will continue to join me as I navigate life in Canada and bring to the fore a lot of areas of interest. Now, a reason why I wanted to get this video out as early as possible is because I'm doing a 2021 roundup. IRCC lately has received a lot of flack and there seems to be a lot of negative chatter around immigration in Canada. So I wanted to do an overall roundup of the year 2021 and tell you guys exactly what transpired, and we can do a bit of a timeline track from the start of the year to the end of the year and get an overall sort of very holistic view of what exactly happened in the year 2021. So I'm hoping this will be one, if you want to know about everything that happened in the Canadian immigration landscape, that you just have to watch this video and it'll give you a wonderful roundup of the year 2021. So let's get started. When the year started in 2021 in Jan, immigration, wasn't looking sort of really good because, the backlogs were building up. COVID was pretty much at its peak. Vaccination rates were fairly low. And basically, there were a lot of travel bans, etc. So the atmosphere wasn't very conducive, very optimistic. So it started on a fairly flat note in terms of immigration as well. The federal government continued to mandate that about 401,000 permanent residents were going to be brought in the year 2021 as well. So IRCC was given a fairly steep backlog and they had to somehow work towards the 401,000 permanent residents that were to come to Canada in the year 2021. Now, we know that in January itself, the postgraduate work permit extension, it was actually a change in public policy. That change actually transpired and it was announced in January. So that was a big policy change. You have to understand that a postgraduate work permit is a once in a lifetime allowance. So no matter how many courses you do in Canada, no matter how many institutes, DLIs, etc., you only get a postgraduate work permit once. So this was, an unprecedented change in the policy that goes with postgraduate work permits, in that students were given a one-time extension opportunity and they were given open work permits for a maximum duration of 18 months. This was in recognition of the fact that students were having a really tough time getting work after their studies. So the employment scene wasn't very conducive. Students were struggling to find their work. And you have to understand that it's very, very important once students complete their course that they find work because their postgraduate work permit duration largely mirrors the duration of the course. So for example, if you've done a one-year course in Canada, your postgraduate work permit duration is exactly for a year. So there is, a lot of pressure on students to get that very, very important one-year job experience. So students were really sort of scavenging for jobs, and because the environment wasn't right, the government of Canada was considerate enough to give them a one-time allowance whereby they were allowed to apply for an extension and get up to an 18-month open work permit allowance by way of this public policy change. So that was the important Jan immigration sort of news that transpired. In Feb, of course, if you guys have been following Canadian immigration news at all or the scenario at all, there was this really big Canadian experience class draw. So that was the 13th of February. I still remember it was a Saturday when 27,333 Canadian experience class applicants were invited to apply. It sort of was extremely big news because that large a draw had never happened. You have to understand that normally CEC draws are fairly sort of small and sedate, and a very small number of applications are invited, but 27,333 was pretty much unheard of, unprecedented, and so IRCC even had to come up with some sort of a clarification. They came up with a lot of statements explaining why they had decided to do this. But I think it was in recognition of the fact that because they had the target of 401,000, that the only way they were going to meet this was if they facilitated long-term stay for people who were already here. So that's why that epic, landmark, monumental draw on the 13th of Feb, whereby 27,333 CEC applicants were invited. So if people had created their profiles, students especially, who were nearing sort of their 1-year work experience target, if they had created profiles, they were in the pool, it was just all perfect timing for them. So Feb of 2021 will always be memorable for this particular draw. In March and April, CEC and PNP draws continue to happen. So even though it wasn't, these large epic draws, the normal business as usual draws continue to happen between March and April. So it oscillated between CEC draws and PNP draws. There were no express entry or program draws, which continued to worry a lot of people around the world. And unfortunately, that scene hasn't changed. In May, we saw the whole TR to PR pathway introduction. So 6 streams, new streams were introduced to facilitate long-term stay for people already here via the TR to PR pathway. It was 6 streams for workers in the essential services as well as international students. And a total of 90,000 applications were invited to apply for permanent residency by way of the TR to PR pathway. So this was the big news in May. In June, because IRCC had now created this big application pool, in June they continued to focus on processing and they continued to focus on bringing in applications to Canada. So by June, the number of landed permanent residents was increasing day by day, and in June it had gone up to about 35,000 permanent residents landing in Canada, and as of when I'm speaking, that number has gone up to about 45,000 landed permanent residents coming into Canada every month. So that's a fairly accelerated pace, and IRCC by that time had begun to focus on the number of people actually landing in Canada instead of just issuing invitations and counting and increasing the number of invitations. In autumn, we had the parents and grandparents category take off. So 30,000 eligible sponsors were selected to put in their applications under the parent and grandparent category, by virtue of which parents and grandparents can be given permanent residence to Canada. This is a lottery-based system, but Canada does, in sort of a macro way, facilitate permanent residence for parents and grandparents of residents and citizens who are here already. So that was autumn. In September also, the Liberal Party of Canada won their 3rd mandate. So they won the elections, came back to power to their 3rd mandate, and Minister Sean Fraser, who was a lawyer and a member of Parliament, was nominated or was given, he was appointed the immigration minister for Canada. So he took on office, and when he first came to office, he said that his focus was going to be clearing backlogs, and also a lot of the focus was on helping the Afghan refugees who had come in and to sort of focus on their rehabilitation here. alongside improving the overall functioning of IRCC, because the pandemic, the work from home, there was so much to work on with regards to bettering departmental standards, timelines, processes, all of it. So that was his focus. So that was 2021, from the very start of the year to the very end of the year. And at the moment, with the memo, even though there's a lot of negative chatter, I feel like this isn't the forever changing of the immigration landscape, and that things will look up, and that there will be a fresh start to the all program draws. So if you are wanting to come to Canada, I would suggest not be too sort of pessimistic about the whole scenario in Canada, and to continue to focus on what exactly you need to do. If you do have a great profile, if your CRS score is significant, if you are say around sort of hovering around the periphery of 460 and above, I would still recommend that you go ahead and do everything that you need and get all of your sort of preparatory steps done in order to get into the pool. Getting your academics assessed by WES, or giving the IELTS test. Sometimes a lot of people have to redo IELTS a number of times. All of that is very, very time consuming. So just saying, draws are not going to happen, I'm just going to shelve all of my plans, I don't think that is a good idea. I would still recommend that you look at whatever it is that needs to be done to get into the pool. You have to understand that even if you're thinking about just provincial nomination programs and somehow trying to get a nomination, the first prerequisite for a lot of provincial nomination programs is to have a valid express entry profile. So even if you just want to apply to a couple of provinces, or if you know that you don't have a chance with express entry, that you want to focus on provinces, you still have to have an active express entry pool, and I'd recommend that to everyone wanting to come to Canada. So go ahead, do all of your preliminary your preparatory stuff, largely preparing for IELTS, getting your academic credentials assessed from WES or whichever agency you choose, to get your financials ready, to decide which consultant or where you're going to get professional help from, because it does make a whole lot of difference to have someone professional represent you and to help you put your best foot forward, to basically help you put together the story of your life to present to IRCC. And in immigration, sometimes more is less. You have to be very, very particular and specific about declaring all of the information, because sometimes, for you, you might just have forgotten a small piece of information, but IRCC can misconstrue that as willful hiding of information. So then it can have, a fairly significant ramification down the line. So I would recommend that if you guys are looking forward to come to Canada, or do still have aspirations of coming here, that you go ahead and do everything necessary to enter the pool, which is going to take a while anyway, and to not be too deterred by all of the negative chatter around Canadian immigration. So 2021 was significant because of just the number of, really the deviation from business as usual, the number of draws, the kind of realignment of IRCC's focus, just how they tried to meet the 401,000, right? The moment they realized that because of COVID, they were not going to be able to bring in people from around the world, they focused on facilitating PR for people who are already here. And that's why a lot of people who decided to come to Canada as students, and if they were lucky enough to get a work permit, it really was a very sort of advantageous time and position for them, because it really helped them to apply for PR. So look at options available for you, because 2022 is all set to be a fairly sort of different year in terms of IRCC's focus and realignments, but it's definitely not the end of the road for a lot of people wanting to come to Canada. If you, of course, want me to have a look at your case and get any case-specific counseling, advice, professional guidance, you can have a one-on-one with me, and I will give you links to booking a consultation with me, because it isn't necessarily quite appropriate for me to address individual cases on public forums, but I wanted to anyway come here and give you an entire roundup of the year 2021, and I hope you found this interesting, insightful, and helpful. In the coming videos, I will discuss my story, life in Canada, just topics of value in general, alongside everything immigration. So this was Immigration Roundup for 2021, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you for all of your love and support, and I would request all of you to continue to watch, like, subscribe, hit on the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video, because I am churning out content at a fairly accelerated rate. Luckily, I'm able to do a lot of these videos in one take, so it's been really fun for me, and I hope you subscribe and hit on that notification bell, because you will be notified every time I upload a video. So thank you so much for listening sort of to my rant on all things immigration in 2021, and I will see you next time with another great topic. Until then, I'm sending each of you lots of love. Bye bye guys, I'll see you in the next video.